The EU just kicked off a 20-month countdown for every team building autonomous AI agents. You're gonna need a literal stop button. Plus, OpenAI hit a snag with a supply chain security incident, serving up a wake up call for your CI/CD pipelines. We're also talking about why the future of AI in the enterprise might just live inside Microsoft Word. Stay with me for the no BS take on what actually matters if you're building products right now. No BS AI briefing brought to you by Proactive AI. Welcome back. I'm your host Vikash, and this is where builders get straightforward AI news without the fluff. First up, the EU AI Act. It's setting a pretty clear path for how we're all going to build autonomous agents moving forward. We're talking about an enforcement ramp up that starts in August 2026 with the full high risk requirements hitting by December 2, 2027. This isn't just some vague guideline, it's a direct classification of autonomous agents as high risk. What does that mean? Well, they'll require clear human oversight, including a revocable stop button, robust risk management against any unauthorized code execution, and even transparency measures like energy reporting. For us builders, it's a clear signal. If you're targeting the European market, you absolutely must design human in the loop traceability and compute tracking into your agents from day one. It's also gonna put a real pressure on teams to optimize for efficiency, not just accuracy, because now you'll have to disclose your energy footprint. That's a significant shift in thinking, isn't it? Next, OpenAI had a bit of a tumultuous week. They've identified a security incident involving a third party GitHub Actions workflow, specifically with an Axios library. Now, the good news is they're saying no user data or API keys were accessed, which is a relief, but it still led to mandatory macOS app updates by May 8, 2026, which tells you it was serious enough to push a widespread update. And if that wasn't enough, OpenAI also filed a court document alleging Elon Musk executed a legal ambush, shifting his litigation objectives just weeks before a trial. I mean, think about that for a second. For builders, this is a loud wake up call to audit your CI/CD pipelines for any signing key exposure. Supply chain attacks, they're not theoretical, they're first order risks for your product security. And on the legal side, this kind of uncertainty can absolutely impact API reliability and licensing predictability, which is a big deal if you're building on their stack. You've got to factor in that kind of operational risk. Also in the news, Anthropic just launched Claude for Word, and this is a beta plugin squarely aimed at enterprise users. What it does is bring AI editing, summarization, and cross application context directly into Microsoft Word for team and enterprise customers. It's a smart move, really. They're specifically targeting document automation, embedding Claude's power right inside existing enterprise workflows where people actually spend their time. For us product builders, this is a huge hint. It suggests that prioritizing integrations with dominant software suites like Microsoft 365 is likely to be a much more effective strategy than trying to build standalone AI apps that require users to switch contexts. The plugin ecosystem, it's becoming the default distribution channel for AI features, especially in the enterprise. That's where the users are, that's where the data lives. So how are you integrating with those big platforms? Moving on to infrastructure, CoreWeave, a specialized cloud provider, just inked a multi-year, multi-billion dollar GPU deal with Anthropic. This massive contract is specifically to power Claude's ongoing expansion. It's a pretty clear signal, isn't it? This deal reinforces the critical role that these specialized infrastructure partners play in helping frontier model developers scale their operations. It's not just about getting compute anymore, it's about getting the right kind of compute at scale with the expertise to run these massive models. For builders, this means your infrastructure choice is becoming incredibly strategic. You really need to evaluate specialized providers like CoreWeave and not just automatically default to the hyperscalers. It also tells us to expect continued capacity constraints and complex priority access dynamics around these kinds of partnerships. If you're not thinking about your GPU strategy, you're probably already behind. And speaking of models, Mistral AI is gaining significant enterprise traction. thanks to a new integration with TCS or Tata Consultancy Services. TCS is adding Mistral alongside OpenAI and Anthropic in its Hypervault platform, which is designed for enterprise deployments. This is a big endorsement, and it really signals a growing confidence in European open models like Mistral as viable alternatives to the dominant players. For builders, especially those working with regulated or EU based customers, Mistral offers a compelling option. It balances cost, compliance, and performance. It also gives you a chance to diversify your model roster, which is smart. You're reducing your vendor risk and your jurisdiction risk by not putting all your eggs in one geopolitical basket. It's about having options and strategic flexibility, right? Finally, let's bring it home a bit. The Indian startup scene is absolutely buzzing. In just 1 week between April 6th and 11th, Indian startups raised an incredible $594.39 million dollars across 31 deals. And guess what? AI focused deals led the count with 8, which is just fantastic to see. A standout was Credit B, which raised a $280 million Series E round, pushing them into unicorn status. What does this tell us? It's a clear indicator that capital pools are truly global now. AI builders in emerging markets like India have serious momentum and are attracting significant investment. For you as a builder, this suggests that exploring partnerships and go to market strategies in India could really accelerate your distribution and potentially give you some significant cost advantages. It's a market you simply can't ignore if you're looking for scale and innovation. Now, let's really dive deep into what I think is the most impactful story for builders this week: the EU AI Act and its specific requirements for autonomous agents. This isn't just about theory anymore, it's about concrete design choices you'll need to make. What happened? The EU AI Act, which officially entered force back in 2024, is now moving into its enforcement phase. What's critical for us is that autonomous agents are explicitly classified as high risk under this regulation. This means there's a clear timeline and specific requirements. We're talking about an enforcement ramp up starting in August 2026, and then by December 2, 2027, all high risk AI systems, including these agents, must fully comply. The headline requirement: human oversight with a revocable stop button. This isn't a suggestion, it's a design mandate. On top of that, you'll need robust risk management against unauthorized code execution and a new level of transparency, which includes reporting on energy consumption. Why it matters right now? This is a game changer because it fundamentally redefines how agentic systems are going to be built and governed, especially if you have any aspirations in the European market. It's shifting the paradigm from ship fast and break things to design for safety and accountability from day one. This isn't just about ticking boxes, it's about baking in ethical and control mechanisms directly into your product architecture. For the market, it means that products offering built in compliance features will gain a massive competitive edge. From a product perspective, you're now designing for auditability and explainability alongside performance. On the development side, it's going to necessitate new telemetry and logging that tracks not just what the agent pod did, but how it decided to do it, and critically, its resource footprint. Who should care? Now, look, if you're a 8-Fort founder building any kind of AI application that acts autonomously, whether it's automating workflows, making decisions, or interacting with external systems, you absolutely need to understand this. It's going to impact your product roadmap, your investment asks, and your legal strategy. For product managers, this means your user stories and acceptance criteria now need to explicitly account for human in the loop features, audit trails, and reporting. You'll be designing for pause points and override switches if you're an engineering leader. This directly translates into new technical requirements, implementing robust logging, secure execution environments, and potentially even specialized hardware or software for energy monitoring. And for the indie hackers playing around with agent architectures, this is a heads up. While you might not be regulated immediately, These are the principles that will eventually trickle down and become best practices everywhere. It's smart to get ahead of it. How I'd think about it as a builder. As a builder in India, I'd view this less as a hindrance and more as an opportunity to build more robust, trustworthy AI from the start. The stop button requirement, that's not just a legal obligation, it's a fantastic design constraint. It forces you to think about human supervision, about clarity of intent, and about the ability to intervene when things go sideways. I'd be building in auditability as a first class feature, not an afterthought. Imagine your agent generating code or making financial decisions. You'll need to know exactly why it did what it did and be able to roll back or stop it. The energy reporting, while potentially challenging, pushes us towards efficiency, which is good for the planet, and your AWS bill. My mental model here is thinking of agents less as black boxes and more like highly skilled but still apprentice level human employees. You wouldn't just let an apprentice loose without any oversight, would you? You'd check their work, you'd give them an undo button, and you'd track their resources. That's the same lens we need for our AI agents now. My no BS take. This isn't hype, it's hard reality. The EU AI Act is a foundational piece of regulation that will reshape the AI landscape. While the specifics of something like the stop button might still be a little vague in practice, the direction is clear. Accountability and control are paramount. Don't wait for December 2027 to start building these capabilities. Start baking them into your designs today. It's not about stifling innovation, it's about building trust, which is the ultimate accelerant for adoption. If you want one practical takeaway from today's episode, something you can actually roll up your sleeves and try this week, here it is. Audit your agent's oversight and map out its current autonomous actions. This is directly tied to that EU AI Act discussion, and it's a critical first step. Here's how to try it in under 60 minutes. In a say step 1. uh, Grab a whiteboard or open a fresh document, list out every single truly autonomous action your AI agent can currently take. Think about API calls, it initiates, external code execution, data writes, or any decisions it makes that don't require a human to explicitly confirm. Is it sending emails, posting to a database, executing a payment? Get it all down. So we saw step 2 for each of those autonomous actions, map where you could insert a human pause point or an explicit confirmation step. Where would a human operator be able to review, approve, or outright revoke the agent's intended action? Think about a simple approval queue, a notification system, or even just a clear prompt that says, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Even if you don't build it today, just identify the spots. Step 3. Now, take a quick estimate. Based on these potential pause points and the new December 2027 control requirements, things like audit trails and energy reporting, estimate how much engineering effort you think it would take to meet those requirements. Is it a few weeks of work, a few months? This isn't about perfectly accurate numbers, but getting a gut feel for the scope. This exercise is invaluable because it forces you to confront the practical implications of upcoming regulations before they become a fire drill. Why is this specific experiment worth your time right now? Because understanding your agent's autonomy and where human intervention is possible isn't just about future compliance, it's about immediate risk management and building more robust systems. You're proactively identifying potential failure points, building trust with your users by having clear control mechanisms, and getting a head start on what's rapidly becoming a regulatory expectation globally. It's about building responsibly and smartly, not just quickly. That's it for today's No BS AI briefing. If this helped, follow the show in your podcast app and share it with one builder you know. And if you've got questions or topics you want covered, connect with me on LinkedIn and send them over. See you in the next briefing.